Today I'm going to tell you how I have managed personal care as a woman in a small space, such as this van that I travel in sometimes. If you are planning to go traveling for a little while in a small camper van, or if you're planning to live in your camper van and you're wondering how you are going to do personal care when there is not necessarily a shower or toilets available to you, then I'm going to share some ideas with you that might be helpful. This is good for anyone regardless of what body parts you have, but I will be touching on some stuff that's good for if you menstruate. So stick around and see if there's anything here that's useful for you. This is the van that I sometimes travel in that I haven't been camping in a very long time. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll understand why. Moving house, mice, it's just been all sorts of drama. It's not been fun. But anyway, if you are new here, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. My name is Coralie. This is the van that I travel in, and this is my channel called Jump With No Fear. I have some information for you about how to do personal care when you're in a very limited space like in the van. I'm going to be discussing some stuff that often women do as self-care or personal care, but I'm not excluding guys, because lots of the stuff you can and very well should do anyway. So don't disregard this. And if you are a guy and you don't do any of these things, maybe you can share this video with someone who does do these things and they might get some information out of it. So I'm going to share some of the ways that I do this when I have been traveling in my van. A lot of these are things that don't take up much space and or either don't require a lot of water to do, or ways that I do it without using a heap of water, because often when you're in a small van such as this one, you don't have a lot of space to spread out, you don't have access to a lot of water, and sometimes you don't even have access to a shower. So these are all ways that you can do your personal care without taking up too much space, without necessarily needing a shower, and without necessarily needing water on tap, so to speak. I'm going to start with exfoliating. A lot of people think that when you're exfoliating, you need to have like a whole shower or a whole bath to be in. That's not necessarily the truth. There is a glove that I have found. There's probably many of these around, but this is just the one that I have. This is the Feggari Magic Peeling Glove. I'll put links in the description to everything that I'm mentioning here if there's a link for it. Otherwise, you can just look up and see what's local to you. This is a glove that does exfoliation, and it's basically like, I'm not sure if you can see that texture there, but it's basically like this very thin glove. You can probably see there how thin it is. And it's made out of this special stuff, some plant fiber if I recall correctly. And what you can do with this is exfoliate any part of your body, even your face, gently. The instructions on this say that you need to soak a body part for 5 minutes. I have found that is not true. You don't need to soak it for 5 minutes. What you can actually do is just give your skin a spray. I have a spray bottle here in my van that I use for all sorts of things. It's a pump spray bottle, so you build up the pressure in it and then you can use it to spray whatever you need to, and that includes your body. So what I do is I gently spray the body part that I need to exfoliate. It's to be used wet, so what I do is I spray my skin. I honestly leave it probably for like 30 seconds or a minute, even if that. Using my arms as an example, I'll spray one arm, then I'll spray the other arm, and then just lightly. Then by the time I come back, I can put this glove on and this one is ready to start exfoliating. So it doesn't take long. It doesn't take a lot of room. What you would want to do is do it on top of a towel or something, a large towel, to catch all the dead skin that comes off. And that way you can take the towel off, just shake it over some bushes or something, and all that dead skin will drop out. You can also use loofah sponges. They don't take up much room, easily available. And like any of these things that I'm using, all you need to make sure is that they dry out properly between uses, and that way you won't grow bacteria in them. So just have a place in your van where you can hang things up. Another thing you might want to exfoliate is your feet. Now, I don't actually have the file to show you. I'll put up a picture here or something, or you can just look it up. It's a glass foot file. It's got very fine etchings in the glass, and or you could use any foot file you like, but the one that I found is really good. It's called Toola, T-O-O-L-A, and it's really good, and I wish that I'd got two, because then I could have one at home and one in my van that I can just keep in here. Unfortunately, with 2 house moves, I have put it somewhere safe where I won't lose it, which is always a bad idea. So don't do that. I should have just left it lying around. I know I have it, I'm just not sure where it is, so I can't show you, but it's really great for exfoliating your feet. It doesn't take a lot of room. Those glass files, your feet have to be dry when you use it. So again, you don't need a lot of water to do that. They're really good for like rough spots on your heels or wherever your feet sort of rub against your shoes or whatever, and it helps your feet stay nice and soft and you don't get those weird little bits of skin which want to come off and can end up being a problem. Okay, washing your body. Of course, this applies to everyone with the body. So these are some of the ways that I wash in my van without needing a whole bath or a shower or a big space. Now, you don't need to have a shower. I've touched on this before. You can just have like a spot wash or a bird bath or a pom wash or whatever you want to call them. They do just as good a job. You don't actually need to use a lot of water to wash. Some of the ways that I do it without needing a lot of water. Again, my trusty spray bottle comes into this. I swear, I use this thing for so many things. It's very convenient. I've got a video about that. Watch that one if you're interested. You can use things like these Swedish cloths. They are sort of rough and stiff to start with, but as soon as you wet them, they get soft. That's really great. Also, just a normal face washer. And microfibre body cloths, those are really good for washing as well. So when I wash in my van, I don't need to dip the whole thing in a big bowl because you end up using a lot of water, you end up dripping water around. What you can do is just use that spray bottle. You spray this until it's just the right amount of wetness for your body, and then you can just spot wash your body a bit at a time. If you want to, you can keep a special one just for your nether regions in case you're worried about germs like that. That will save you a lot of water, it'll save you dripping everywhere, and you'll still stay clean. You can use any type of cloth that suits you, and all you need to do is spray it until it's the right amount of wetness. You won't drip water, you won't use a heap of water, and you won't have any grey water to get rid of because you're not making any. So that is how I wash my body in a van like this. And of course, hang them up to dry, that way they won't breed bacteria. If you're enjoying this or you found it helpful, I'd love it if you would share this with someone who you think might be able to get some information out of it. And hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much. Also to do with washing and in fact exfoliating now. This is a thing that I've found called Bakslap. It is actually designed to apply sunscreen to the body parts that you can't reach. So it's got this little soft pad thing here, and you put the sunscreen on that, and you can reach your back to put sunscreen on. But I actually bought it to wash my own back, because it is hard to reach your own back when you're washing it, especially in a confined space. So I have actually got this so that I can just wet it and wash my own back when I'm in my van. So you can reach down at your back really easily. Now recently they have actually released a little pad, because they go on there with a sort of a Velcro thing. They've released a little pad which is an exfoliating pad, so you can also use it for exfoliating, which is cool. Something else to help your washing endeavours. If you are concerned about your nether regions being a little bit grotty, I've mentioned again in a previous video about washing, there are all sorts of products around that you can try. These are the two that I have found local to me, well, within Australia anyway. One is called Zymatic toilet paper gel, and the other one is Poofum, and it is a foam. So you could choose whatever suits you. My actual preference is the foam. I feel like it just goes a bit further and more easily. And the gel, it just feels a bit different. So pick whichever you think will work. Now, the way that these are supposed to work is you're meant to use them while you're on the toilet. But I feel like they can also be used to help keep you clean on your nether regions between proper showers or whatever, or if you're a little bit concerned about making your cloths dirty, cleaning your nether regions because you think your nether regions might be a bit dirty. Now, these aren't actually designed for cleaning your nether regions as such, but they do provide a little bit of extra, I don't know, lubrication, I guess, in a way, and a tiny little bit of moisture for when you go to the toilet, so that you can actually have some sort of moisture on the toilet paper if you don't have access to a tap or whatever right there when you're on the loo. And and when you've finished wiping, you put a little bit of either one of these or whatever product you've got on the toilet paper, and then you have one last wipe, and that sort of is using some sort of liquid so that you can make sure your nether regions are clean. Now, these are not designed to go into any genitals. So if you have tucked in genitals, then don't let it go inside. But if you use these carefully, you can wipe around the outside of your genitals, and that will help to ensure that you're staying clean at certain times of the month as well, when it can sometimes be a bit messy. So if you use these, it'll help to keep your nether regions clean between proper washes, and maybe make you a little less concerned about having a cloth that you are wiping your nether regions with, that you are then thinking about the germs that might be on it. Again, if you hang it up to dry, germs can only grow with food and moisture. Generally speaking, don't quote me on that. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a germologist. But generally that's the case. And if you are making sure that you dry all of the cloths that you wash yourself with, you should be fine. And if you're worried, then keep like 7 or 14 small cloths that you will use especially for your nether regions, so that you're not then concerned about spreading those potential germs elsewhere. Now, if you have a menstrual cycle still and you bleed once a month or however often it happens to you, then that is kind of like a whole extra thing to deal with when you're in van life, and it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. Not technically, but you know what I mean. And these are things that I've been using for quite a while, probably for about 15 years or so. So they are tried and true. Many people are only just learning that they exist. If you have a vagina, I don't know if I should be obfuscating that word for YouTube, but if you have a vagina, you will potentially be needing to deal with having a period. They can be messy, they can create a lot of waste, and if you don't have easy access to water in a van, then it can be quite frustrating and a little bit annoying. Now, I don't know if you've realized this, but disposable menstrual products, they smell really bad. Usually it's not actually your period that smells. A lot of the case, it is the menstrual products. The blood and other tissues that are expelled by your body, they react with whatever is used in those disposable products, and they smell really bad. Periods themselves generally don't smell. So, to avoid the issue of having to carry around a lot of menstrual products that you then have to find ways to dispose of, one way that I get around this is I use a menstrual cup. I'm not going to show you my menstrual cup because it's a bit stained and it just looks a bit yucky. So, but I'll put a picture up here or something and show you various types perhaps. Menstrual cups work in a similar way that pads and tampons do, in that they collect the blood. But menstrual cups don't soak it up, and they won't dry out your privates either, because they're not sucking every bit of moisture away, they're just holding it in a little container. Now, of course, you do need to find a place to empty that when it's full, so you will need access to some sort of place to empty it. If it was me, I would happily empty it into my pee bottle, but what you could also do if you were concerned about emptying it into your pee bottle, which I don't know why, because you just empty that into a toilet when you get to it, but what you could do is you could have a separate dedicated period bottle. You could tip it in there. If you wanted to, you could have another one with a bit of fresh water in it, and you could clean it by shaking it around in there. So you'd have sort of like 2 extra little bottles. I don't know, I'm thinking of this on the fly, but basically you have to have a place to empty it. So you would need a toilet or a toilet in your van where you can empty the blood, and then you'll just rinse your cup. You don't actually need to rinse your cup every time. You can just wipe it with a little bit of toilet paper and put it back in. And I actually just wash mine with soap and water most of the time, and I only disinfect it once every, I don't know, whenever I think of it. Generally, bacteria is not going to develop on that as long as you're giving it a proper clean with soap and water. So you can replace your cup when you need to empty it and put it back in again without cleaning it with soap and water. It's not going to hurt you as long as you're not like rolling it around the floor of your van or anything and picking up dirt. don't do that. That would be bad. Another way to handle periods when you're on the road in a confined space like a van is using period underwear. So you do need access to washing more if you're having a period while you're on the road, because you'll be collecting the blood in specialized underwear, which is designed to soak it up. It doesn't dry you out like disposable products do, but it will collect the blood in a way so that you're not staining your clothing. This one is Modibodi. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's sort of like a bit of an etching thing on the edge of the undies there. These are ones that I like. It's just like normal underwear, but it's got a special sort of like padded area that will absorb the blood, and then you can dry those out and then wash them when you get to a laundromat. The instructions for these actually say that you should rinse the excess blood out first, but I tend not to. I just let it dry out in between washes, and then I put all of them in the wash together, and then they come clean. If you do not rinse them out, they may start to smell a little bit sooner in their lifetime than they would if you weren't rinsing it. But if you're only on the road for a short time, it's not going to kill them, and bacteria won't grow as long as it dries out. So it's not a thing to worry about. The other option is something like this. These are called Shreddies. And they are not period underwear, but I have actually used them as period underwear. Again, it's similar to the period undies in that it's got this big, thicker, sort of absorbent bit at the back. These are actually designed for people with indigestion type issues or leakage or whatever. And it's so that people with those kind of issues can actually go out in public and not feel embarrassed, because rather than soaking up blood, that they soak up other body excreted things, and they also absorb smells. So I have worn these when I've got my period, and I wear them as backup for if any blood leaks out when my menstrual cup is full, and they don't let any smell out because they're made out of carbon infused material or something like that. I can't remember, but they actually work really well as a backup for a menstrual cup as well. And as I said, it doesn't let any smells out. So if you have leaked a bit, you're not going to smell like period blood, which, as I said, generally doesn't smell anyway. And again, these just go in the wash like you would normally with any other thing. If you're concerned about spreading period blood through your washing, it doesn't, because it all washes out. This is what washing machines are for. But just like make one dedicated load full of your period underwear if that's of concern to you. Okay, last one I want to deal with is how to wash your hair. If you have short hair, you're probably going to be fine and really not need to wash it that much. You could probably use a cloth, a damp cloth, and literally just scrub your head with the damp cloth, and it's going to get all the dirt out. It's going to get most of the oils out. Also, if you use a microfibre cloth to wash your hair, I think you will find that you'll get a lot of the excess oils out, and it'll do a fabulous job of actually cleaning your short hair. If you have longer hair, my hair's not super long, but it's also not super thick, so that does make it a little bit easier. So I can't speak for people who have very thick hair because I've never had thick hair. Maybe you could leave a comment and tell me what your experience has been with using some of these methods if you have thick hair. Love to hear from you. When you don't have access to a shower or some sort of outdoor tap or an indoor shower in your van, if you don't have access to that sort of thing, these are methods that I've used to keep my hair clean. Firstly, brushing helps a lot. So if you brush regularly, that's going to help get out any dirt and spread the oils that your scalp naturally produces all the way to the bottom of your hair. So the whole thing about brushing your hair regularly, it seems to be true. It really makes a big difference. Now, if you need to wash your hair more regularly and you're finding it's getting greasy, one thing I have tried, which seems to work, at least in the short term, is using salt, literally just normal salt. I experimented with this for a little while so that you don't have to. But it actually does work okay. It doesn't work in the long term because your natural oils will come back, but the salt will absorb the oils in your scalp, and it'll help to get rid of any loose skin you have or like dandruff or anything like that as well. It is a little bit labor intensive, and you do want to be outside for it, unless you've got like a big towel to spread underneath you or something, so you can do that inside your van. But you will have to be able to brush all the salt out as well. So either do that on your towel or outside your van. So I'll start here, and what I'll do is I'll start with my side shave, and I'll put my head sideways. I know it's really weird, but it works. And I will sprinkle a little bit of salt on one spot or put it in my hand, and then put it on my head, and then I will scrub that. So it's sort of like a scalp exfoliation, and then I'll move to the next bit. I'll use my pinky and divide my hair up like that, and I'll sprinkle a little bit of salt there, or put it in my hand, put it on, give it a scrub, move to the next bit, put it on, give it a scrub, move to the next bit, put it on, give it a scrub. And it is very messy, so it's not ideal, but it will help you if you don't have access to a shower to wash your hair properly. I have found that the effects of doing a salt scrub in my hair will last a week or two, but it depends on your hair because everyone's scalp is different, everyone's hair is different, so your mileage may vary. Another option is to use dry shampoo. Not a big fan of it myself, just because it will eventually leave residue and stuff, unless it's a really good powdery one or something. You can actually make your own dry shampoo. There are plenty of recipes online. I think it uses like maybe corn flour and some other stuff. I can't remember. Look it up. You'll find something. And those actually work really well. And all you need there is a space to be able to brush out the excess. So it might be something you want to do outside of your van, not in, because of course it's a powder and it'll floof everywhere. So just keep that in mind. And if all else fails, when you need to wash your hair or deal with hair issues, there are plenty of places around where there are access to public showers. In an app that I showed a little while ago called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about finding toilets in Australia. That app will show you where all the public toilets are. You can also find showers in that. But community centres, pools, gyms, they often have showers available to the public. So you can also check in those places if you need a shower. But if you can't have access to a shower, those other things will help to take care of your hair between showers. And that's it for today. Those are some things that I wanted to share about how I handle my personal care when I've been traveling in my van. I'd love it if you would share some of your ideas about how you do personal care in a limited space, because I don't know everything. I'm just sharing what I've tried and my experiences, so I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and let me know how you do it. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would be wonderful. That helps the algorithm tell other people that it might be interesting. Share it with anyone who you think might find it helpful. And also a very big thank you to my amazing patrons. Please join my Patreon community. We've got a growing little community there. I love to chat to you all. It starts at $2 a month, so it's super cheap, and every tier gets the same benefits. So thanks again. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.